14 buildings earmarked for demolition in Accra due to structural defects has been demolished.
And preliminary report reveals multiple structural and regulatory failures led to the Adenta building collapse.
And commuters in Accra and Kumasi will have to endure rush hour queues for long as Metromass clarifies recently commissioned 100 Isuzu buses are not for intra-city transport.
And in business, Ghana pushes for domestic oil refining to boost economic resilience amid global uncertainties.
On the international front, Kenyan ex-Chief Justice David Maraga arrested during protest over Nairobi National Park land development dispute. You have details of all these stories and more coming your way for the next 60 minutes. Do be a part of the show. Let's hear your thoughts on the many stories we have for you this evening.
Now, we start off with an update on that building collapse, and city authorities are expected to secure permits to demolish structures sited close to a 3-story building which collapsed on Sunday in the North Industrial area, claiming 3 lives. Early findings show that the existing buildings are weak, posing danger to residents. The emergency response team that evacuated rubble from the site has finally withdrawn. A report by Christian Yali.
The collapse of the 3-story building is the second of such incident in less than a week and the third in a month. Beyond the tragedy of the 3 lives lost, critical questions are being asked about why building failures persist in Ghana. Concerns about enforcement, construction practices, and the prevailing challenges in the built environment are widespread. The rubble has been cleared and the site barricaded to protect the public from potential hazards and preserve the scene for investigators. The emergency response team has left the site.
This morning we followed up at the police hospital and it's confirmed that we have lost additional victims. So that makes the death to stand at 3 with 1 survivor undergoing treatment.
Why are you withdrawing from the incident scene?
Yeah, so disaster response operation has various phases. And so the last phase of our operation is the collection of debris, and as you can see, we are 100% through with the debris collection, and therefore we need to withdraw from the site.
Are you going to more or less declare this area a safety zone so that people do not continually come to this site? And also, what happens to the other buildings around and their structural integrity? Are you going to collapse them as well? The
adjacent building, as you can see, is more or less a death trap, and as the Interior Minister said, arrangement is being made for such a building to be collapsed before we experience any fatalities.
Engineers have attributed the incident to a possible lack of building permit and failure to adhere to construction standards.
From what we are hearing, it looks like the assembly have not given out any permits. We are yet to confirm that fully, but the building have no permit, which means that if a building have no permit, it means that there are no planned works signed by an architect or a built environment specialist or an engineer for the construction to go on. This can be prevented if we see there are laws, there are legal procedures that we need to go through before we build buildings, especially a commercial nature like this, where a lot of people will be frequenting. To put it in a simple language, concrete have different strengths, different mixes and different money. Rebars have different strengths, materials have different strengths and different requirements. If you don't follow it through and do your own thing, and nature comes on us, these are some of the things we'll be experiencing in our country.
We are staying on this subject matter, but this time around to the first building collapse that happened a few days ago. And we are being told at the moment that a preliminary technical report into the Adenta Medina building collapse has pointed to a chain of failures, from lack of statutory approvals and ignored stop work directives to poor structural support and the unauthorized addition of another floor. The Joint Technical Investigative Committee says that the collapse was not the result of a single accident, but a combination of several factors. There is more in this report by Noble Crosby Annan.
First, the committee says the project did not have the required statutory approvals, and that means that the proper architectural drawings, structural engineering drawings, building permits, and other technical documents were not in place as required. In simple terms, the building was not properly cleared to be constructed in the manner it was being built. Second, the report says the Municipal Assembly had issued stop work directives, but those directives were ignored. Third, an additional floor was being added to the building at the time of the collapse, and this is one of the most serious findings. You see, every building is designed to carry a certain weight. The foundation, the columns, the beams, concrete, and steel must all be strong enough to support the number of floors planned. So when an extra floor is added without proper approval or engineering assessment, the building will carry more load than it was designed for. And that extra pressure, it can weaken the entire structure. The committee also found major structural problems. It mentions discontinuous load-bearing columns, inadequate support systems, poor quality concrete, and improperly detailed reinforcement. Put simply, the parts of the building that were supposed to hold it together and transfer weight safely to the ground were not strong, and the committee says the collapse parting looked like a progressive or a pancake collapse. And that means one critical part of the building likely failed first, and once that part gave way, one floor came down onto another and triggered a chain reaction. Another worrying detail is that people were reportedly still occupying parts of the building while construction was ongoing. So this was not only a construction failure, it was also a safety failure. The investigation is not finished. Samples of concrete and reinforcement steel have been taken for laboratory testing. Those tests will help determine whether the materials used met the required building and engineering standards. But even before the final report comes, the preliminary findings already, they raise important questions. This collapse was linked to failed approvals on the part of personnel of the Assembly who were paid to do the work, structural support, and safe construction, and ignored enforcement. Noble Crosby and TV3 News, Accra.
I will stay a while on the issue of structural integrity of buildings and public safety, because 1 out of 16 buildings earmarked for demolition in the capital due to structural defects has been demolished. The Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly says occupants of the dilapidated 4-story building had defied eviction notices until portions of the facility collapsed after Sunday's rainfall. George Queening reports.
48-year-old Emmanuel Owusu is a happy man. His greatest fear has finally been eliminated. Having lived in this neighborhood since 1983, he had long dreaded the worst from the dilapidated structure.
Miti this side, but me. Samiunsu mehu bibia se sa etetire na me bahanu.
From 1983 to now, I realized the structure is no longer strong than it used to. I was even scared for tenants and myself and others that stay close to the building.
His concerns were echoed by other residents who went to great lengths to want tenant to vacate the building.
Most of the tenants have moved out. When they move, new people come and rent, and they are not afraid of anything. What they always say is they will manage. We were scared it will collapse, so we are happy it has finally been demolished.
The Koleklote Municipal Assembly Kokma on Monday, June 8, moved in to demolish the dilapidated structure after several failed attempts to eject its occupants. The impact of Sunday's downpour compelled the occupants to move out after portions of the building collapsed. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, says 50 more of such buildings will be demolished in the coming days.
From here, we'll continue with the others that are not safe for people to occupy.
What do you mean others? Yeah.
Yes, in Accra. 15. Yes, we have about 6 at Wejagbari that we have earmarked. So from after this one, we'll move to Wejagbari and then we'll start to do all those things. And all these structures were being occupied by tenants. Unfortunately, the landlords do not live there. So they were rented properties. So as we speak, the Weja, 3 of the properties are ready to undergo the demolition because all the occupants has evacuated.
Seconds into an interview with the head of public affairs of the Ghana National Fire Service, DO2 Desmond Aka, the unexpected happened. The news team engaged the driver of the excavator.
But that is the only thing.
Every occupation has its hazards and risks, but all we need are prayers and being careful. I've been in this profession for long. The building was on the verge of collapse.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly AMA is concerned about the continued disregard for safety precautions.
But how you live and how you do your things will show whether you are going to live long or you are going to live short. We should be each other's keeper and report any building you see with a crack. Please let the assembly know, and maybe assembly will give you something, but that one will not be announced on air. Because if we announce it, people's building will have problem.
Experts have raised serious concerns about how many buildings failed structural integrity tests, describing the situation as alarming. After decades of occupancy, this dilapidated structure has finally been pulled down due to a structural defect. According to NADMO, there are several other buildings in the capital that are similar to this sort, and so they will also be demolished. And so if you're in a neighborhood and you find a facility like this, just contact NADMO to do the needful. Josh Queening, TV3 News, Osu, Accra.
And looks as though we are in the era where a lot of these structures are being questioned. And so now that 15 is remaining to be demolished, we'll update you as and when that exercise does take place from one structure to another. And the mayor of Accra, Michael Kpakualote, has defended the delay in repairing the Kaneshi pedestrian footbridge after missing an earlier 1-month completion deadline. The mayor says the full extent of the damage only became apparent after work was about commencing, adding that the ongoing garage project is expected to affect the entire structure during the rehabilitation process. The bridge was closed to pedestrian traffic in April, with authorities initially projecting that repairs would be completed within 1 month.
Kaneshi footbridge has been there for over a decade. The place is rusted. We all saw danger coming. We want to wait till something happens before we come in. I'm not that type of person. I like to take action. I went in there to make sure we change the bridge. But we are doing the garage project. And the garage project is going to pass through where the bridge is. So if I go in and do the bridge, garage will still clear the bridge from there. So I'm a part of garage. We went to Koforidua last, I was in Koforidua when the Accra issue happened, I drove down. So we are on it working to make sure Gary could do the work fast for me to continue the bridge.
Were you not privy to the garage project before you went to close it down?
I knew the garage project was coming on, but I thought the garage project was getting there earlier before we commenced work. But I realized the garage project delayed a bit, so we cannot work without their project because I was thinking they will pass before I do my project. I don't want to lose any life with him, like in my palm, like say mayor caused this for this to happen. I've seen the danger coming. Why, as a leader, I'll wait for something to happen before I go in? It's wrong. I beg them. They should just be patient. We'll fix the bridge for everybody to still pass there. But for now, they should watch the policemen and the AMA people. When they stop them, they stop. When it's time for them to pass, then they pass.
Let's bring you some more stories now on News 360. And for some months now, commuters in Accra and Kumasi have endured long queues and overcrowded bus stops due to an inadequate number of commercial vehicles. Many heaved a sigh of relief with the arrival and commissioning of 100 newly imported Isuzu buses. Well, the Metro Mass Transit says those buses are intended to restore transport services in underserved and rural communities across the country and not for intra-city commuting. Here's a report by Evelyn Tingma.
The Deputy Managing Director of Metro Mass Transit says the company's fleet has dwindled significantly over the years, dropping from about 1,000 buses at its inception in 2003 to just 115 buses currently in operation. As a result, the company's nationwide coverage has been severely affected, with services reduced from 385 routes to only 84 routes due to the shortage of buses. According to Haruna Ampauredu, the 300 buses promised by government, of which 100 have already arrived and commissioned, are intended primarily for residents of remote and underserved communities where access to public transportation is either limited or non-existent.
The buses came in immediately when the president assumed office. The complaints, the challenges that we receive from traditional authorities, policymakers, MPs, living in the hinterlands, and that made the president, being a responsible and listening president, to step in quickly to get those buses so he'll be able to route across the 300 operational route points of Metro Mass. Those buses that has come are for inter-city operational buses.
The clarification may come as a disappointment to commuters in Accra and other major urban centers who had hoped the new buses would ease transportation challenges in the cities. However, the Deputy Managing Director says plans are underway to introduce a separate fleet of high-capacity buses dedicated to urban transportation before the end of the year.
Hope you remember the anti-day bus, yes. Those days, the yellow ones, and that is what the president is keen on. At a go, one bus can pick no less than 80, 90 people. So those buses, assuming you have about 20 of them in Accra, that should be enough to deal with Accra situation. It is in the light of that, if you see our head office, we have currently put together a complete EV charging station. It is in expectation of the new buses that are coming. We now have our own EV charging station here. I believe that the intra-city buses, which will be deployed not too far from now, wouldn't be anything less than 100.
In the meantime, he says, Metro Mass Transit has introduced an interim measure by redirecting some buses arriving in Accra from regional routes to provide temporary services within the capital during peak hours before continuing to their original destinations. For now, many commuters may have to wait a little longer for relief, with the company appealing to Ghanaians to be patient as it works to balance the pressing transport demands of urban centers with the equally urgent mobility needs of people living in the hinterlands. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's go to the courts now, and the investigator in the illegal mining case against the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman Wontumi, in the Wontumi Akonta mining case, has told the Accra High Court that armed men led by the former general manager of the mining firm Akonta Mining, branded vehicles, accosted and held officials from the Forestry Commission hostage until seized equipment were returned to them. The investigator is the prosecutor's second witness in the illegal mining case against Akonta Mining, Wontumi, and two others. Lord Eduasare was in court and reports.
During his testimony as the prosecution's second witness, Chief Inspector Eugene Akpo Glover, among other things, submitted that investigations revealed that although Wontumi had applied for a mining lease to operate in portions of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve, The Lands Minister had not granted approval at the time Akonta Mining began operations in the area. The witness further noted that checks with the Minerals Commission in November 2022 confirmed the assertion. He affirmed that after Wontumi was invited to the CID headquarters for questioning, the NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman claimed he had obtained a gazette but failed to produce the document when pressed further. During cross-examination, Chief Inspector Glover indicated that some Forestry Commission officials, journalists, chiefs and staff of Samatex were held hostage by heavily armed men led by former Akonta Mining manager Edward Akwokon. According to the witness, the men used company-branded vehicles after the team seized equipment from the concession. However, when Andy Appiah Kubi, lead counsel for Wontumi, suggested that company-branded vehicles were not necessarily indicative of ownership by Akonta Mining, the lawyer further suggested that the equipment found in the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve was protective equipment, arguing that Akonta Mining was not engaged in mining activities in the reserve. The witness, however, rejected the assertion. Lawyer for Wontumi spoke after proceedings.
I pray that the courts remain courts. When I say that, I mean that let us not turn the courts into persecution centers, but let them remain courts of law, so that if they are, and if they become, and if they continue to be, then I have a presumption that we will be able to defend the constitutional presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
The case has been adjourned to June 16 for continuation. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, Jandel Limited, a leading event management company in Ghana, has launched its 30th anniversary celebration. The event brought together clients, partners and industry stakeholders at the Mervyn Peck Ambassador Hotel. There was a lot of reflection on the company's 3 decades of service and innovation in Ghana's events and decor industry.
Over the years, Jandel has built a reputation for transforming spaces and creating memorable experiences for clients across the country. As the company marks 3 decades in business, management says the anniversary is an opportunity to celebrate resilience, appreciate loyal customers and position the brand for continued growth in an evolving industry. At the center of the launch was the celebration of its CEO, Margaret Afiamoro.
Reflecting on the last 3 decades, it is clear our success was never guaranteed. We have navigated market shifts, economic hurdles, and changing demands of our world. We have overcome unprecedented challenges by adapting and innovating. We didn't just survive, we have thrived. We have stood in the presence of royalty and partnered with some of the highest officers in Ghana and internationally.
Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of administration, Nanaoye Bampuado, who was the guest of honor, noted that government is committed to ensuring that companies like Jandel Limited thrive for maximum impact on the economy.
Government is ready to walk alongside well-meaning, excellently driven businesses that are rooted in Ghana and proud of it. The Jandel story teaches us that that is perfect and the right way to go.
As part of the company's 30th anniversary celebration, Jandel Limited launched the Zoya Impact Foundation, a structured 12-month program combining mentorship from industry leaders, hands-on training in event excellence, real project experience, business development support, and access to a national network of peers and professionals.
The University of Gold Coast has held the 3rd edition of the Next Great Leadership Summit with a call for leaders to pursue success that is balanced, values-driven and transformational. Held under the theme 360-degree leadership, this year's summit focused on the need for leaders to grow not only in their careers, but in every important area of their life.
The Next Great Leadership Summit by the University of Gold Coast brought together young professionals, students, entrepreneurs, faith leaders, and the youth for a conversation on balanced and values-driven leadership. The keynote speaker and general overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, Pastor Mensa Otabil, urged young people not to be driven only by appetites, shortcuts, and instant success.
The greatest people who have achieved the most in our world have come from some of the most deprived backgrounds. So that the lesson we learn in life is struggle doesn't weaken us. And people who tend to get things without struggle don't have the muscle to sustain success. So when we build a society where success doesn't require exercise, we are weakening the rest of the society.
The Chancellor of the University of Gold Coast, Dr. Gideon Titi Ofer, noted that leadership must be holistic and intentional.
The first foundation you must lay as a Christian is your faith in leadership. So I present to you Christ as a life-changing spirit, not a religious leader. And I need you to make up your mind to build a relationship with him.
The event also saw the graduation and induction of students who had completed their management programs into the Chartered Institute of Management. The summit further positions the University of Gold Coast as a hub for leadership studies, offering masters and professional programs with flexible monthly payment options.
Yep. Time now for a quick breather. You're taking us on a break?
Definitely, but do stay with us. We'll be back with more right after these.
In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasmini, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. 'Cause the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasmini, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
The Business News segment is brought to you by MTN. 4 points by Sheraton Accra Airport Hotel.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu. Now, in a strategic move to fortify the nation's energy sector, Energy and Green Transition Minister John Abdullahi Jinapor says government is aggressively pushing for the domestic refining of crude oil from Ghana's own oil field. This follows the delivery of some 1 million barrels of crude from the Jubilee fields to a local refinery. Mr. Jinapor emphasized that a robust domestic refinery industry is critical to securing the reliability of oil and petroleum supplies.
This achievement certainly demonstrates the power of collaboration and what can be accomplished when government and industry work together in pursuit of a common national objective. Beyond the immediate commercial benefit, this initiative has significant strategic implications for Ghana. A stronger domestic refinery industry helps fuel oil and petroleum supply reliability. It reduces exposure to international supply shocks, improves foreign exchange retention, creates employment opportunities, and supports the growth of ancillary industries across the petroleum value chain. Because as you refine oil, you get other byproducts and other products which benefits the entire value chain. And for me, that is highly commendable.
In a major breakthrough for Ghana's energy sector, the Central Oil Refinery in Tema has officially taken delivery of its first parcel of domestic crude oil from the Jubilee field, signaling the start of local processing of the country's own petroleum products. Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejari noted that this development marks the end of a costly 15-year cycle.
Since Ghana first struck oil, the country has watched its raw crude depart its shores to enrich foreign economies, only to buy it back as finished petroleum products at volatile, uncontrollable international prices.
For the first time in Ghana's history as an oil-producing nation,
a cargo of Jubilee crude lifted from beneath our own waters has arrived not in Rotterdam, Guangzhou, or the Gulf of Mexico, but here on the Ghanaian soil at a world-class refinery in Tema, to be refined into fuel by a private oil refinery that will power Ghanaian homes, businesses, and roads.
Executive Assistant to the Chairman of Central Oil Refinery, Eric Lin, noted the development stands as a symbol of confidence in Ghana's future.
Transforming Ghana's resource into Ghanaians' jobs, industry, and economic growth. This achievement reflects the vision of governments of Ghana.
Energy and Green Transition Minister John Abdullah Jinapo lauded the establishment of the Central Oil Refinery, describing it as a pivotal step away from Ghana's historically unsustainable model of exporting raw crude.
This achievement certainly goes beyond a commercial transaction. It represents a deliberate national policy decision to deepen local value addition, strengthen energy security, promote industrialization, and retain a greater share of the benefits derived from Ghana's petroleum resources within our economy.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Welcome to 4 Points by Sheraton Accra Airport Hotel, a unique luxury hotel that promises a memorable and well-connected stay. The hotel offers 5 types of spacious rooms with elegant furnishings. From our standard, deluxe, suites, and executive rooms, every room is a sanctuary.
In a world full of noise, Clarity matters. Stories shape us. Ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abinanya Kwasumeni, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
The world around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost heights. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us. Ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abinanya Kwasumeni, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off with the Black Queens, and their head coach Kim Lasherkegen has opened up on the team's pre-WAFCON preparations after the Queens closed camp later on Monday. The head coach described the week-long camp as successful as the team readies itself for July's Women's Africa Cup of Nations.
Some set pieces that we maybe couldn't do if we played against the national team. So I see this camp as very positive. In the preparation to the WAFCON, we're going to play another 2-3 games. So we will anyway have those kind of games. I mean, they have been good. I mean, I will want to give credit to the whole squad. They have been keeping up the energy. We have been rotating a lot. All of the players had some minutes in one game at least, the most of them in 2 games. So overall they have been good. I mean, when I took over the team 1.5 years ago, I said my expectation is to bring back Ghana to a top 4 team in Africa. If we do that, I'm pretty sure that we sooner or later will win. Top 4 is going to give us the qualification for the World Cup, so that's going to be huge. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to do everything we can to start with to make the top 4. And if you are top 4, let's push for the gold.
Let's do some more here, where Asante Kotoko have appointed former Ajax and Netherlands goalkeeper Stanley Menzo as the club's new director of football. The appointment, announced on Monday, forms part of the club's long-term strategy to strengthen its technical leadership, modernize football operations, and return the Porcupine Warriors to the top of Ghanaian and African football. Menzo arrives in Kumasi with an impressive football background, spanning playing, coaching, and football administration across Europe, Africa, and Asia. The Dutchman spent a decade with Ajax, making more than 300 appearances and winning multiple major honors. Well, now, before we go, Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce has expressed strong satisfaction with the team's 2026 FIFA World Cup-based camp in Pachuca, Mexico, saying that the excellent facilities and support staff leaves the squad with no excuses as preparations intensify ahead of their opener against host Mexico on Thursday.
It's very important. Once we knew the draw in December, and we know that we had to play our first game here, the opening game against Mexico. Immediately I knew that we needed a place where we could prepare that game, certainly concerning the high altitude. So I visited Pachuca end of February, I think, and I was very happy with the accommodation. I was very happy with the pitches. I was very happy what we find there in the University of Football. You have everything what you want and what you need to prepare a team. Also, the people are very helpful. We can't ask anything, and before we ask it, it's already there. So again, I'm very happy that we are here, and if we have good results in the World Cup, it's certainly because we have that magnificent and very good preparation here in Pachuca.
And so we're building up to the opener for the 2026 FIFA World Cup as Mexico face South Africa, and you can get all the updates on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasumeni, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasumeni, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly.
Achievement in writing, Best African Collaboration and Achievement in Sound Mixing. Arase also won the Achievement in Directing Award, further highlighting the film's remarkable success and dominance at this year's ceremony.
The 15th Ghana Movie Awards celebrated excellence in a Ghanaian and African cinema, honoring outstanding talents and productions that continue to elevate the industry. Nominees and guests graced the event in style, all hoping to take home top honors.
A lot of nominations, and we have won a few awards. And I believe that this night we are going to take all 13.
Nice. I should say Best Picture, 2, I should say Achievement in Directing, and then 3, I should say Sound. Yeah, it's top notch.
The MAG Award goes to Virgin of the Throne, Frank Raja Arase.
Virgins of the Throne emerged as the biggest winner of the night, securing 9 awards. Directed and produced by Frank Raja Arase, the movie won accolades including Achievement in Writing, Best African Collaboration, and Achievement in Sound Mixing. Frank Raja also picked up the Achievement in Directing award, further cementing the film's dominance at this year's ceremony.
Making my first film after 8 years and still having all of this accolade and appreciation from people and from Ghana Movie Awards, it just tells that, okay, I'm back. I left as the Best African Film Director, and I'm returning as the Best Director of Ghana Movie Award.
Sakura also enjoyed an impressive outing, taking home 7 awards. Its wins included Achievement in Makeup, Achievement in Production Design, and Achievement in Cinematography, making it one of the standout productions of the evening. Another notable winners included Nanama McBrown, who was named Ghana's favorite actress, while Clemento Suarez won the award for Ghana's favorite actor.
I was not expecting that. So this is it's worth it, all the stress, the pain and everything. And it feels good to know that you are Ghana's favorite. It's a good feeling.
The Best Short Film Award went to Juliet Ibrahim for her production, Behind the Lie, adding another milestone to her achievements in the film industry.
And that's it for the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Time now to bring you updates from other parts of the world. Kenya's former Chief Justice, David Maraga, has been arrested while protesting against, among other things, what activists are alleging is a plan to build a car park on protected land belonging to a wildlife sanctuary in the capital, Nairobi. He was among a group of demonstrators who were marching along a road running close to the Nairobi National Park.
And still on the international front, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that his country will hold off on attacking Iran for now. Benjamin Netanyahu, however, warned that Israel will respond forcefully if strikes resume. In a televised address, he said that the fire is contained after Iran earlier announced that it would stop striking Israel. Both sides have promised to retaliate if fighting begins again, and Iran has warned of a severe response if the Israeli Defense Forces continue striking southern Lebanon.
And that's how we end this edition of News 360. We're really grateful for your company. There's more news on 3news.com. I am Bernice Abubedu Lansa.
And I am Martin Asiedu Date. Have a good evening.